So in the last video, we talked about the two times that my dad, the greedy framer, has been doing this, where he's saying one thing and doing something totally different. So right now, I've taken a little bit of a break. Right now, it is July 13th. 2026, and it is 1:37 a.m. And now I have come back after I guess a couple hours. A lot of things have happened in those couple hours. I will get to those shortly. um, so yeah, the first time was my dad, the greedy framer, claiming, "Oh no, this brain savant doesn't exist," making jokes about it and saying stuff along the lines of, "What? He said he could do this? No, no, he can't do this." And then we find out what happens is, as soon as he gets kicked out on December 29th for ordering the November 20th false testimony, only to make sure that no one could get the brain savant money, like my mother, that he cannot get. He caused mass panic and chaos throughout the entire government and news media. And people like Governor Josh Green on November 27th were saying confusion is the enemy. We have to remove the confusion over here, only because my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters created so much confusion from this false testimony that everyone was puzzled. Like, what is the truth over here? Did I commit the crime or did I not? Like, did Hassan commit the crime or not? Like, this is very confusing. We have to get to the bottom of this. Thankfully, the government had it all worked out from before, and it turned out that there was a government informant, due to which this confusion being removed was not that hard. Despite my dad's framer sisters being asked over and over again, "Did you really witness him commit the crime?" They would be like, "Yes, we saw him commit the crime. We witnessed him commit the crime." And they were like, "You want to think this over? Because this is a really big accusation you have against Hassan." They'd be like, "No, we witnessed him commit the crime." So basically, yeah, that is what it is, and what happened at that time after November 20th. And everyone in the government was basically literally just like how Governor Josh Green was on November 27th, 2025, where he was like, "Confusion is the enemy. We have to remove the confusion." And the news anchor on CNN was state of shock, and she was just like, "Yeah." She didn't know how to reply because he wasn't talking about the vaccine confusion. He was talking about the confusion that my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters had created, and only due to the fact that he was not getting the brain savant money that my mother was getting, and his framer sisters kept saying, "No, we did witness him commit the crime. And, ma'am, do you want to think this over? You want to think this over for a second?" She'd be like, "No, we did witness him commit the crime. There's no thinking over. We witnessed him." And so they would not take it back. And they created massive amount of confusion due to this fact. I do not look like a killer, or whatever it was that they were trying to frame on me. Like, he did this or he did that. And the fact of the matter was, they were basically the false testimony for November 20th was basically something along the lines of a murderer or something like that. And it was something very huge because everyone in the news media was shook. Like, how did this kid do this? And yeah. And basically, law enforcement knew about it before I even went to Russia. They knew about it because I told them that, "Look, I know about all your previous false testimonies," and they freaked out. They put up the YouTube video that says "Don't You Worry, Child" by Swedish House Mafia, where the guy is just in a state of envy and anger. He just look like and with anger, like, "Can't believe he got us, but we'll get him back," sort of thing. So they were fully planning on making this false testimony. Law enforcement were. What law enforcement didn't know was they had people from in between them that were actually working for the government honestly, and not to run their sex games with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001, or their money fraud, which was going on at that time. And even right now, if it stopped, it only stopped right now. The money fraud did. And in 2022, it was being basically run from unemployment and disability fraud. Anyways, so basically, yeah. Moving on, so the first time my dad, the greedy framer, is caught for the November 20th false testimony, what he does is the entire time he's claiming, what, a brain savant, what is this? Like, I don't get this. Like, this thing, like, he has money potential. I don't do that. December 29th, 2025, 1:27 p.m., the exact moment, that very moment, he's kicked out of the spokesperson stand for being found out to be ordering the November 20th false testimony. December 29th, 2025 at 1:27 p.m. That exact moment, he's kicked out of the witness stand. You know what my dad, the greedy framer, does that very moment? He calls law enforcement and he tells law enforcement, send him the money transfer ads right now. Send him the money transfer ads over and over again. Use your brain scanner, see if he's going to give me money or not. The moment he's kicked out of the witness stand, the truth comes right out. The man was going after the money and obviously locking it up only because he knew that he was getting rejected by me all throughout 2025. So before June 28, 2025, he was getting rejected by me, making crazy videos for the government. June 29, 2025, he's all over me. Father-son ads on YouTube all day long. Oh, change of heart. How did that happen? Let me tell you how that happened. I won my case June 28th. That's how it happened. July 18th, I feel like it's his day, the day he was born. He just came out of his mother's womb, and I'm thinking of the baby names for him. I think I'll go with Babuji. I'll go with Babuji for him. Like, this is how the man was behaving on July 18, 2 weeks after making crazy videos about me claiming that my brain savant should not get freed. To think that there's no money involved over here is insanity. November 1st again, he tries the same thing and I reject him. And he's like, ask him if he wants to go with me. And I was like, no, there's nowhere to go with him. I want to be left alone. The man literally would contact me once a year, maximum, sometimes once every 5 years, one conversations for 5 years. And right now he's giving speeches like, I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can do this. What is a brain savant? What is that? Yeah. And so November 20th, he has false testimony made against me. And he has his framer sisters make it. And he gets caught red-handed by the courts as ordering it completely over the phone. He has to do everything over the phone. He doesn't have a visa to the U.S., so he has to do everything over the phone. That very moment, December 29, 2025, 1:27 p.m., he's caught, he's kicked out of the witness stand. Very moment, December 29, 2025, 1:27 p.m., you know what he does? That very moment he's kicked out of the witness stand, he calls law enforcement. He says, check if he's going to give me any of the brain savant money or not. Send him money transfer ads. Check if he's going to give me money or not. So then what happens is he's kicked out. Now what he does is he begs the courts, please let me narrate, let me narrate, please let me narrate. He does this all day, every single day. Why does he do this after December 29th? Because if he doesn't and my brain savant gets freed, my mother gets all the brain savant money and he gets nothing. And him and his framer sisters had already planned out lies that they wanted to make even after November 20th to make sure that there was no way that my brain savant could get freed at any cost. How do we know this? Because my dad, the greedy framer's framer sisters, basically treated the government informant like as if it was like a free car mechanic there to fix their car. They're working on November 20th. He's helping them frame me for November 20th and that false testimony. My dad's framer sisters are like, but wait, we've got some more problems in our car. They give him all the lies that they wanted to make after November 20th and tell the government informant, we're going to make these lies against Hassan after November 20th to make sure there's no way his brain savant can get freed. Can you help us exaggerate these as well as much as possible? They're false to begin with, just like November 20th, where the crime and setting does not even exist. All made up by the government itself. Government basically was testing to see, like any criminals out there, they test to see, this is how, by the way, this is how work's supposed to be done. Like, all right, you're not supposed to go tip off the criminals like how they did with people like Assad, who's roaming around despite being involved in the wedding incident, or people like my dad, the greedy framer, who was clearly encouraging people to join terror groups in 2011, and one day it suddenly stopped. He was tipped off. this is how work is supposed to be done. You're supposed to send a government informant to try to test to see whether these people are really committing the crime or not, and then you try them, hold them accountable after the crime is committed. That's how it works. And they did an excellent job over here. So basically, what happened was the government informant that was there. My dad, the Greedy Framer sisters think that this is like the free car mechanic there to fix all the problems in their car. And he's working on November 20th, and they're giving him the subsequent lies that they're planning on making after November 20th, telling him that these are also lies and that they want his help in trying to exaggerate it as much as possible, pretty much. So after November 20th, my dad, the Greedy Framer sisters, and him, they had planned lies that were not now going to get wasted. They already planned it out, and we know they planned it out because his Framer sisters told the government informant, like, these are planned lies. We're going to make it against Hassan after November 20th. We need your help in making these as well right after you're done helping us with November 20th. So basically, my dad, the Greedy Framer, after December 29, 2025, at 1:27 p.m., that exact moment when he's kicked out and he sends money transfer ads to me, that exact moment, afterwards, he thinks, man, I had more lies planned out. I worked so hard on those lies. They're just going to get wasted. So he goes and begs the court, please let me narrate. Please let me narrate. Please let me narrate. And in the end, the courts get sick and tired of it. You got to remember, governments are not born yesterday. They've been dealing with criminals, and they know what the motives are very clearly. And the motive obviously was money. It was the envy for money, and it was the greed for money. The woman, my dad's Framer sister, who made the false testimony against me on November 20th and was subsequently making all the remaining false testimonies against me, basically everyone dreams a dream, and the poor kid gets the dream. He gets the American dream. That's me. I got the brain savant. I got the college degree without any loans. I did it by sleeping on the side of the streets, and I did it while eating 2 sandwiches and a pack of ramen noodles, all which law enforcement's a witness to. My stepmother puncturing holes in my clothes and adding acid to them, and me working hard regardless, law enforcement being a witness to all of it. Yeah. And so basically what ended up happening was I was a poor kid who ended up getting a brain savant that was extremely rare. And her kids, well, I don't know about her kids, but usually what happens is these people who raise their kids in comfort, not that much comfort since her husband works as a pharmacist himself, same college degree that I have. They just didn't let me give my board exams, which should be a walk in the park with these brain savant powers. And I'm only going to put it aside, obviously, if artificial intelligence, what it's saying is true and not a lie. And we all know artificial intelligence is not lying for me, nor my psychic know what the report says. So basically, like, the problem with these people is their kids are basically like drug addicts. A lot of them are. And you got to understand, different drugs affect different people of different races differently. They're metabolized differently. There's an enzyme, it's called cytochrome P450. It metabolizes those drugs differently, putting it through the body differently, has a different clearance to those effects, has a different addiction potential to those effects. So while heroin might have high addiction potential in Caucasians, for, like, let's say South Asians, you might have some other drug like crystal methamphetamine might have a higher addiction potential for them than it would for another drug like heroin, and they would get more addicted to that kind of drug than they would heroin. So basically, a lot of these people, like, the problem with them is their kids are doing drugs that have a higher addiction potential for them due to their race than even heroin would. Even heroin would not have the same amount of addiction potential in them that some other drugs like stimulants might have, due to difference in races, genetics, and the way that our enzymes metabolize certain drugs and cause its effects in the body and the brain. So basically, yeah, And so, um, depending on genetics, depending on different races, different drugs have a different addiction potential to them. And for South Asians, certain street drugs like stimulants would have a higher addiction potential than even heroin would. And so the problem with a lot of these people is they raise their kids in comfort, and their kids ended up being drug addicts. Now, the thing about it is, law enforcement might try to make a lot of claims about me, like how they did with um, the sexual claims just yesterday, where law enforcement basically said that they had like 5 girls out there from my overseas pharmacy school, and they're like, and each of the girls were like, he asked me out. And then the courts would be like, what did you say? She'd be like, I was just like, get the heck off away from my face, you freak. And like stuff like that. Like they had like 5 girls saying stuff like that about me. And absolutely false. What are the chances that they got every single thing? And that one time in my entire life when I got angry due to being so badly abused and not having any other option due to poverty, not being able to go anywhere else, and I'd already dreamt the dream of getting my college degree, and I couldn't leave home. Well, not home, but that room that I was in. What are the chances that these people would miss out on me getting rejected by these girls? Obviously not. It never happened, and now we know I was telling the truth. It was all fabricated. Every single one of those girls were lying just 2 days ago, and they were lying um, only because the spokesperson, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, Ibrahim, was waiting at Mother's Girl for me to pass by there so he could speed up with his black Prius with the Florida plates on it, and then law enforcement would be like, look at this guy, such a nice guy with the black Prius. You should totally sleep with him. Like, tell some woman his mother's age to do that. And Junaid was doing the exact same thing. When I went to go pick up my mother, he was trying to come up into the cameras for my car, in the front and back camera, just so that he could be seen in it. And so that law enforcement could be like, look at this guy, such a nice guy, Junaid, looking down on the ground while walking. Poor kid, due to autism, he's doing this. And like literally, like they told Ibrahim that same night, an hour later, the exact moment to come out of the Mother's Girl. How ironic. He's running after a woman his mother's age, getting rejected, and waiting at the Mother's Girl to show his face again in front of my car cameras, to be able to run after these women his mother's age again. And Junaid trying to come up in my car camera in front and behind, to while walking, looking down on the ground, like, cute little autistic kid. Poor autistic kid looking down on the ground. Like, he's not autistic, okay? And if he was, he would have obsession. Like, let's get a little creative here. Not every autistic person's obsessed with being a knight, okay? Yeah. So basically, due to that humiliation and embarrassment, the person in law enforcement overseas who gets that money every month, got really angry, and he was like, I'm not going to let go of this humiliation that these people like Junaid and Ibrahim are going through. So what he does is he gets people from my overseas pharmacy school to basically fabricate false testimonies against me, say that I was some sort of a pervert. I would ask them out, and they would say no. And guess what? They got caught with all those lies. They wanted revenge for being found out as being perverts, and they were making false testimonies against me halfway across the world about me being a pervert. All those false testimonies fully caught. So now the other part is, their people are a bunch of drug addicts, which I'm pretty sure they are, and they now want to make me look like a drug addict. And there's certain facts and evidences that the courts have to look at. Number one, I've been watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. Not once, not one time, not once, ever bought drugs from the streets. Never bought street drug, ever, in my entire life, ever. Not once have I ever bought street drugs my entire life. Fact number one. Fact number two, for the past 10 years of my life, I haven't even had a controlled substance. Not one time for the past 10 years of my life. Never even had one controlled substance in the past 10 years of my life. That includes cough syrups like Robitussin. That's Schedule 5. Never even had that. Okay, controlled substance. What is that? Schedule 1 are street drugs, heroin, methamphetamine, these two things. Illegal. 2 to 5 are the ones that are sold in pharmacies. Didn't have a single one, not even the legal ones, not even Robitussin, in the past 10 years. Not even once. That's fact number 2. Fact number 3 is when I have a problem with hyperactivity. If they let go of the drugs and the suppression tools that they're using on me, I have an enormous amount of energy, and it was mainly seen when I used to work at CVS pharmacies, like 12-hour shifts in 2018, where I would work 12 hours from morning till night without even a 15-minute break, and at the end of that shift I would be running 3 registers. Is how much energy I have naturally. Obviously, they suppressed it a lot after my brain savant was confirmed, and I got my college degree in October 2019 due to extreme envy, and then they started fabricating false testimonies. All of them were caught by now, but that's how much energy I really have. And so in order to suppress that energy by using drugs instead of these tools that they use on me, I had to, at one time in my life, you get medications to do it. And when those medications cause dependency and addiction, I myself went to my doctor and I told him that these drugs can be misused by a person of my ethnicity because it can cause dependency and withdrawal, due to which I need you to write in your computer to never prescribe me this medication or anyone else prescribing me this medication ever again. So that's the history between of prescription medications from decades past, and never once bought street drugs ever in my life. And for the past 10 years, never even had a controlled substance. Controlled substance schedule, there are 5 schedules. Schedule 1 are street illegal drugs like heroin, methamphetamine, things of that sort of nature. 2 to 5 are given in pharmacies. And Schedule 5 would be things like Robitussin. Didn't even have that in the past 10 years, not once. So basically, they got caught with the false testimony, trying to make me look like a pervert, because Ibrahim and Junaid were trying at the same night to come in my car cameras so that they could show themselves, and law enforcement would be like, such nice people, look at them. Like, apparently both of them in the same night, within an hour's time period, coming in my car cameras. What are the chances of that? And yeah, obviously law enforcement were telling them exact moment to come out in front of my car cameras and to be able to run after these women. And so what happened was I called them out on it. I'm not that stupid. A black Prius with Florida tags on it, speeding up right in front of me, in front of the mother's girl, like a psychopath. And like the person's hiding their face when I'm on their left. Literally, brother at your side. What he was sending to me 2 weeks ago, June 28, 2025, to try to get me to help him with his sex scams on these women and girls. That's what it became. His black Prius was right over here. I was right over here. Okay, right by the mother's girl, right at the intersection of Greenside Drive and York Road. And he was covering his face like this so that I couldn't see his face. Like, how stupid do you think I am? I know who you are. I know why you're covering your face. You should be so ashamed of yourself. An hour ago, at that time, he just got rejected by a woman his mother's age, brutally rejected, who was my elementary school teacher, who he didn't even know. And he got the contact info for her through law enforcement. And he was begging her to sleep with him. After I called both of these people, Junaid and Ibrahim, trying to do these things, like run after a woman that just wanted to know about my brain savant, basically, like, yeah, elementary school teachers, and begging them to sleep with him. Basically, what happened was they tried to make me look like a pervert. And the person who gets the money every month from the unemployment disability fraud in law enforcement went and got girls to say things about me after fabricating it, that I was a pervert and this and that. Every single thing that they said has been found to be a lie and fabrication. They did it very quickly, um, in order to fabricate it really quickly, so as to take the humiliation of Junaid and Ibrahim running after a woman their mother's age, whom they don't even know, are my elementary school teachers that they got the contact info from law enforcement for, and to be able to run after them and get rejected, and then after getting rejected, to be seen from my car cameras, front and back, after law enforcement tells them the exact moment to come out to be able to be seen in this car cameras. I call them out for what was going on. I'm not stupid. I knew what was going on. They tried this on Uncle Joey in numerous times, and I rejected every single offer. So they were doing the exact same thing. And law enforcement became really angry, and they tried to fabricate false testimonies. Again, using girls from my overseas pharmacy school, thinking that it's 50 million miles away so they can't get caught. Well, they fabricated so quickly that they did get caught. And everything has been found to be a lie. It turns out I wasn't the pervert after all, and they were trying to get revenge on me for me finding out about what they were really doing. And so, since I know that their people are a bunch of drug addicts who are literally using drugs and abusing drugs that have a higher addiction potential in their own races than heroin itself, they're obviously going to say bad things about me, saying that I'm a drug addict. That's why I have to let the courts know about certain facts. Throughout my entire life, there hasn't been one instance of me ever buying street drugs. Not one instance of me ever buying street drugs. Okay? Second fact, for the past 10 years, I haven't even had a controlled substance. What is a controlled substance? A scheduled substance, basically, is you have Schedule 1, which would be street drugs like heroin and methamphetamine. 2 to 5 are found in pharmacies. Robitussin, the cough syrup, is Schedule 5 substance. Okay? Yeah. Haven't even had any of these things in the past 10 years of my life. Not once in the past 10 years. Fact number one. Fact number two is the fact that, the fact number one was haven't ever had a single now they're making me forget. See, they're feeling really guilty, and never bought street drugs ever, not even once in my entire life. Fact number two, despite being watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child, by the way. Fact number two is that didn't have a single controlled substance in the past 10 years of my life, and even before then, it would probably be something like Robitussin or something. And fact number three, I did have controlled substances prescribed to me, but it was only due to the hyperactivity that I have. And I went and I told my doctor about it right away when I could, and I told him to put in his computer to never ever prescribe me this medication ever again. Myself, even though I had the choice not to do so. If I was a drug addict, I would not do so. So basically, drug addicts do not have one conversation of them, one text message conversation of them joking around with someone about doing drugs. Right? You would find way more than that. Drug addicts take it on a regular basis. You would find drug addicts overdosing every week on drugs and then calling the ambulance or something of that sort of nature. You wouldn't have one conversation of them joking around with someone about doing drugs. All right, that does not make a drug addict. All right, yeah, I worked hard my entire life, and that one conversation that I would have about joking around doesn't count as being a drug addict, obviously. So yeah. And so that, I mean, I've gotten my PharmD and I'm well versed in my things, to the point that I remember I had I used to help someone out in my neighborhood. He was a thalassemia major patient, and one time he came over to me and he was like, well, anyways, just never mind that. But so the drug addiction thing, has been sorted out. Just like the pervert thing, these people were being perverts, getting rejected, humiliated, and they tried to get revenge on me, and they were caught fabricating false testimonies to try to humiliate me and to try to make me look bad because they were looking bad. And so they got caught with these false testimonies. So now, with the pervert thing pushed aside as false testimonies, these are the facts on the drugs. Never once, ever, not even once, bought drugs that were street drugs. Fact number 2, in the past 10 years of my life, never even had one scheduled substance. Schedule 1 are street drugs like heroin, methamphetamine. 2 to 5 are the ones that are in pharmacies, with Schedule 5 being things like Robitussin. And I haven't even had Robitussin in the past 10 years of my life. So, yeah. And fact number 3 is, when I did have prescription medication for hyperactivity, which was proven in 2018 when I would do a 12-hour shift at CVS when they weren't suppressing me using these tools. At the end of that shift, despite not even taking a 15-minute break, I would have so much energy that I would run 3 registers at one time. Mainly because I had to work to finish school at that time as well. But yeah, and I went and I told my doctor myself that these have potential for dependency. So I would appreciate you putting in your computer to never ever prescribe me this medication ever again. Myself, if I had the 1% chance of being a drug addict, I would never do that. Drug addicts would never do that to themselves. If they had, there's a 1% chance that they would ever want that prescription medication ever again, even 1% chance, even as a joke to be able to use it, they're not going to tell their doctors to put in their computer system to not ever prescribe them that medication, since that makes it so that they never get that medication ever again. Not the sign of a drug addict. So there you go. There are the facts on that. Now that the pervert thing is gone, there are the facts on this one. So the pervert was basically all fully fabricated. And I said it in my video, and now we know that it was fully fabricated. So basically, my dad, the greedy framer, he's all about the money. Okay, November 20th, 2025, he begs his framer sisters and law enforcement to make false testimonies against me. And on December 29th, when he's kicked out by the courts at exactly 1:27 p.m. on December 29th, 2025, he's kicked out by the courts. And what does he do? He calls law enforcement at that very moment, December 29th, 2025, 1:27 p.m. He tells law enforcement, "Can you please send Hassan money transfer ads?" Keep sending it to him. Use your brain scanner, check how he responds to it, see if he's willing to give me any of the Brain Savant money or not. So it turns out he did believe in the Brain Savant money, and he was lying. Obviously, why would he waste all his time fabricating false testimonies against me if he didn't think that my mother would become extremely rich really, really fast with my Brain Savant money? Obviously, we're not that stupid. Then he goes and begs the court, "Please let me narrate, please." Why does he do this? Because he had more lies that he had already planned out with his framer sisters to be made against me. He didn't want to waste these lies. So basically, he thought he had a chance of convincing the court with these lies. Now, a grown man convincing the courts by speaking like, this is how he committed the crime. And then he went about it, and then he committed that crime just like that. And he committed it, and it was done, and it was very bad. And like a grown man talking to court like that, what are the chances that he's lying? So yeah, not very high chance, right? So basically, he was very he was just like, I have a chance, I could still lock up his Brain Savant so that my mother cannot get any of the Brain Savant money that he knows he cannot get. So he was just telling the courts, like, please let me narrate. So the courts in the end are just like, all right, fine, narrate. What he didn't know was his framer sisters had already confessed to the government informant as these subsequent lies being planned lies that they were all planning on making against me after November 20th to make sure that there was no way that my Brain Savant could get freed and my mother getting the money that they cannot get. And yeah. And so basically he was falling into his own trap, And then he made those lies, and he made it very seriously, like, this is how he committed this crime. I know November 20th was false, but this is true. Hassan committed this crime. And I know November 20th wasn't true, but this has been witnessed by my framer sister. And, like, he just kept saying that and saying that. And the court was like, yeah, okay. The thing about these lies was, while his framer sister was fabricating November 20th, she told the government informant that she was fully planning on making these lies as well. And she asked for the government informant's help in trying to exaggerate this and fabricate these lies even further to make them even worse for me, to make sure that they had the highest percentage chance that my brain savant could not get freed. And these were the lies that he was keep on telling the courts every single day. So the first lie, November 20th, when he gets caught, in December 29th, 2025 at 1:27 p.m., he's kicked out of the spokesperson stand. What does he do? He runs right for the money. He calls law enforcement and says, check, send him the money transfer ads, see if he's going to give me the brain savant money or not. So he did believe in the brain savant money. He was lying. Second set of lies, already planned out. February 10th, 2026, courts tell him, look, sir, we know you're lying. And he's, you know I'm lying? How do you know? We know you're lying. How we know, we can't tell you, but we know you're lying. The problem with it was his framer sisters also could not call and tell him, you know those lies we planned out? Don't make those. Because the government's obviously listening, you know? It's like if November 20th was going to be so big that after that, the government was going to listen. Like, what is the deal over here? That's why on November 27th, 2025, Governor Josh Green was like, we have to get to the truth of this. We have to get to the truth of this. This is very serious. Confusion is the enemy. And like the CNN anchor on the other side, there was like this black woman, really nice on CNN. She's just like, yes, like really awkward face. They put everyone in mass panic and chaos, only to find out that it was fully fabricated. And then on February 10th, 2026, they're told by the courts again, my dad, the greedy framer, after all the drama he did in court, again, the courts tell him, look, you almost got Hassan this time. You almost did. But we were one step ahead of you. We know you're lying. And he goes, you know I'm lying. How do you know I'm lying? And the courts are just like, we can't tell you, but we know you're lying. So, February 10th, that night, it's midnight, and after midnight, obviously, it's February 11th. So February 11th at 12:22 a.m., 22 minutes past midnight, I'm watching TV. I pick up my phone and it says, so nice to hear from you after so long, Babuji, which is like my baby name. And it's 12:22 a.m., February 11th. I read that text. I go, all right, so that's what happened. And I put my phone down and I go back to watching TV. Because I did not have to be a genius to work this one out. The man who was arguing against me on February 10th the entire day, saying that my brain savant should be locked up because I was a terrible person, was texting me 22 minutes past midnight, that same night, saying, so nice to hear from you after so long, after the only hearing we were having. A couple hours before, in court, we were arguing back and forth, and I was telling the courts that this man is a pathological liar, only lying to enviously lock up my brain savant so that my mother cannot get any of the money that he cannot get. And yeah, and this man, like, that's the hearing we were having. So nice to hear from you after so long. That's the hearing we're having. And 22 minutes past midnight that same night, he's texting and saying, so nice to hear from you after so long. That hearing we were having in February today wasn't very nice. I don't think so. And so I read that text message on my phone. 22 minutes past midnight, I'm watching TV, and it says, so nice to hear from you after so long, Babuji. I just read it. I'm like, all right, so that's what happened. And I just put my phone back down and I just go back to watching TV. Like, literally, I did not have to be a genius to figure this one out. Obviously, his framer sisters had just gotten caught with November 20th. And there was a government informant involved, which means that they obviously confessed to the government informant for whatever they were lying about right now. Just like how they were lying on November 20th. I did not have to be a genius to figure this one out. And I knew it right away. I just read that text message that said, "So nice to hear from you after so long." I put my phone down. I went back to watching TV because I knew what had happened, obviously. And obviously, like, this guy could not hide it. 3:17 a.m. that same night, February 11, he sends me a picture of a porn star named Sunny Leone with a sister for his name on it. We know that this is an open advertisement for incest. How do we know this? Because he's told at that time, this is an open advertisement for incest. You cannot send him a porn star named Sunny Leone's picture with your sister Fur's name on it. And he's told that February 11th, and March 7th, 2026, he does the exact same thing, exact same picture sent to me 3 times in one morning on March 7th, 2026, clearly showing from facts and evidences that he was trying to use incest in order to get illegal assurances of money. That same night, 3:56 a.m., he sends me a picture of a woman resembling his ugly, weird, old sister spokesperson's greedy farmer mother. And I'm just like, oh my God, this person is obsessed with money. He could do anything. And we know that it's a money obsession because after February 17th at 3:02 a.m., when he's told that my brain savant getting freed is inevitable, all he's done is send me blackmail price tags. That's all he's done. And this is the second time he did this. And so since we're talking about his price tag blackmails, let me show you one that was sent to me just right now. 1:20 a.m. Look at the time right now. 2:18 a.m. Only about an hour ago. 1:20 a.m. It's a price tag blackmail for 9.5 million euros. Let me zoom in a little bit. €9.5 million. And by the way, the thing I find really fascinating about these blackmail price tags is due to the fact that they no longer send it to me when I watch my regular stuff. So I've been watching my History Channel stuff since I was like a 9-year-old child. And I still watch it all day. And what they do is they change my dopamine levels a little bit when I watch it. And then they would make me watch something else that has unrelated to history, Caesar, Rome, any of these things that I've been obsessed with since being a 9-year-old child due to autism. And when I would watch these things is when they would put these ads on there. So the autistic feature is removed because they want their people to be autistic since it got me so much attention. The thing that got me attention was my brain savant being so rare and profitable. Not autistic. I've always been the weirdo. They usually call me the History Channel in high school. If you don't believe me, just ask Natalia. Like, yeah, these people are just making a fool of themselves. But yeah, so that was the second time he lied and he went for money. The third example I have to give is in the year 2025 when he was running after Miss Deb. And he was telling Miss Deb, he was calling her all day, night long, despite trying to pretend to be a really religious man who doesn't talk to women and this and that. He's calling Miss Deb all day, night long just to convince her that Miss Deb shouldn't go run after me for her daughter. And that there's no money involved and my brain savant doesn't exist. And even if it does, there's no point. So while he's telling Miss Deb to not run after me for her daughter, what he does is he gets law enforcement. He asks law enforcement, he's like, is Hassan interested in brown girls? Because I've got some brown girls. And like law enforcement's just like, we don't know. I don't think he is. And he would just be like, all right, well, my wife's sister's daughter, I wanted to see if he's interested in her or not. Excuse me. You got to remember, at the same time, he's calling Miss Deb all day and night long to try to convince her that my brain savant doesn't exist, there's no monetary potential for it, and that she shouldn't try to get me married to her daughter. And at that same time, he's telling law enforcement, like, he's asking them, is he interested in brown girls? Because I've got a brown girl. My sister's, my wife's, my stepmother, basically. He goes, my wife's sister's daughter. Is he going to be interested in her? Like, obviously, law enforcement's always been BFFs with Miss Deb, to the point that no one in the U.S. knew about my brain savant test from August 9, 2022. It was a social experiment in Ireland they did not like. People switched sides immediately after finding out. Not from the government. They switched sides from my stepmother. People that grew up with my stepmother, not grew up with her, as in literally their kids lived right next door, and they knew them for decades, some of them even related. And these people coming over to me the right next day and going, just want to let you know we're on your side. And why were they doing this? Because law enforcement told them about my brain savant potentials. And the brain savant test that was done on August 9, 2022, with a 6-hour-long artificial intelligence data that is undeniable. And it was because of this that people started switching sides right away, immediately, coming over to me and telling me that they're on my side instead of my stepmother. Obviously, so that's what happened. And law enforcement did not like the social experiment that just occurred. People switch sides when they hear about money, especially that much money. And law enforcement told them about it. So law enforcement did not tell anyone in the U.S. for another 8 months, till around April 2023, even though the test was done August 9, 2022 for 6 hours, except for one person. One person in the U.S. was told. And that one person was Miss Deb. I know this because Miss Deb started sending me friends requests on Instagram a month after that brain savant test done on August 9, 2022. One person who's law enforcement's BFF. So obviously law enforcement went and told Miss Deb, just letting you know, he's playing both sides of the field over here. On the one hand, he wants you to not give your daughter over to Hassan and saying that there's no monetary potential for his brain savant. And at the same time, he's asking us, law enforcement, if Hassan's interested in brown girls or not, because he's got his wife's sister's daughter that he's trying to get Hassan to marry. He's playing both sides of the field, Miss Deb. Law enforcement and Miss Deb were BFFs. They would share everything with each other, even if it wasn't being shared with everyone else in the country. So Miss Deb obviously getting pissed off that he is a competition for her daughter's marriage. One day, my dad, the greedy framer, calls Miss Deb, and Miss Deb clearly just tells him, "You're not supposed to be calling women all day and night long, sir. You shouldn't be calling me, okay? Stop calling me. Please stop calling me," is what Miss Deb pretty much tells my dad, the greedy framer. And she shuts her phone, and he never calls her after that. He was playing both sides of the field. On the one hand, he's telling Miss Deb that she shouldn't give me her daughter because my monetary potential for my brain savant doesn't exist, and that it's just a waste of time and money. And at the same time, he's asking law enforcement if I'm interested in brown girls or not, because if I am, then he wants me to marry his wife's sister's daughter. What are the chances he thinks I'm a horrible human being and he's desperately begging me to marry his wife's sister's daughter? I doubt it. Okay, and obviously he knew that there was a brain savant money potential that artificial intelligence had already predicted, which is why he just sent me the 9.5 million euro price tag blackmail about an hour ago at 1:20 a.m. Yeah. So yeah, he is sending me these all day, night long, and so this was the third time he was lying about not knowing about my brain savant potential. And the fourth example that I have is not that long ago, July 7th. He is basically saying that his brain savant doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And he just says these things. He can't get this done. No, it doesn't exist. You do realize that sending someone price tag blackmails lowers the weight of your narration in a trial, just like how lying does. July 7th, he's not sending me these price tag blackmails. July 9th And July 10th, he sends me 15 price tag blackmails within a period of 1 day alone. He was playing both sides of the field again. 2 days before, he's saying it doesn't exist. He can't get this done in 1 month. He just says this. And then 2 days later, he's a firm believer in my brain savant monetary potential. So much so that he's willing to jeopardize his ability to narrate in the trial against me, where he's clinging on very aggressively, just to send me these blackmail price tags, which you just saw an hour ago. And they started July 9th, 2025, only because he found out that my brain savant getting freed is inevitable. Not just him. His sister, Farley the Greedy Framer, has been sending me these ads for her daughter, for me to marry her daughter, basically by force, through a framing and scamming prenup marriage agreement, to harass me for the rest of my life after I would run away from her ugly-looking, abnormal, weirdo daughter, Zara, just to harass me. And it's really annoying and irritating, because by now she sent me at least 27 of those ads, and she sends it at least once every day. And it's very annoying. So, yeah. And she sent it since June 16th. And I've said it the first time, I'm not interested in her daughter, her abnormal looking weirdo daughter. And she still sent it. So yeah, these people are all about money, and they're all running after money. Regardless of what they say, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do that determines what your motive is. If you're running after money and saying there's no money involved, that means you're obviously lying and deceiving everyone. And we've seen that from 4 examples that I just gave, with the last one being only 4 days ago, between July 9th and July 10th, when he sent me 15 price tag blackmails to start off with, and now he's sending it to me all day and night long for these millions of euros, like the one I just showed you from an hour ago. Yeah. So 4 examples of how he's saying that he doesn't believe that my brain savant has monetary potential, while showing to the courts and the audience that he believes that it has enormous amount of potential, to the point that he's jeopardizing his ability to narrate in the trial to try to get a deal for millions of euros made from me. Yeah, and he sent these blackmail price tags through law enforcement, so you could just ask them if he's sending these or not. And so yeah, he's saying one thing, that he doesn't believe that there's a brain savant monetary potential, and his actions are showing something totally different, which is that he does very much believe so, and he wants an illegal assurance of money, due to which he's sending me these all day, night long since July 9th, 2026, only about 4 days ago, despite on July 8th saying that he doesn't think that there's any monetary potential, and that, oh, he just says this, he doesn't do it, he can't do it, he just says this, he doesn't do it. There's absolutely no time in my entire life's history where I've ever lived with this man, ever in the same country, ever in my entire life, never even talked to him on the phone, ever in my entire life, which is why, like a psychopath, he's running after me right now to enviously lock up my brain savant, or try to get illegal assurance of money from me, to the point that he was willing to sell his own sisters by using incest to try to get illegal assurance of money. We know this for a fact, because on February 11th, 2026, at 3:17 a.m., he sent me a porn star named Sunny Leone's picture with his sister Far's name on it, and he was told that this is an open advertisement for incest, and yet he still sent it to me 3 times on March 7th, 2026, despite it being labeled open advertisement for incest, in exchange for illegal assurances of money. And he still did it on March 7, 2026, 3 times, just to see if I was willing to give him illegal assurances of money or not before my brain savant would get freed. Clearly showing from facts and evidences and that price tag blackmail that I just received an hour ago, that this man believes something else and he's saying something else. And he is only doing this because I've never lived with him my entire life. Never in my entire life if I have ever even lived in the same country as him, or have ever even talked to him on the phone, which is why he was trying to enviously lock up my brain savant so that my mother could not get any of the money, followed by sending me price tag blackmails that he knew wasn't going to work, because I knew he was only sending it because he was caught with so many lies, that he wasn't making a deal with me based on the illegal assurances of money. He wasn't he didn't have a change of heart due to which he wanted my brain savant freed. He was caught with too many lies. He couldn't make any more. The only option he had was to hope that I didn't know that he was caught with lies, which is why he wanted to make illegal assurances of money deal with me based on millions of euros before he would stop harassing me, when he wasn't planning on stopping harassing me. He just wanted to make illegal assurances of money with me based on millions of euros, before my brain savant would get freed anyways, hoping that I wouldn't know that the only reason he's even making these deals with me is due to the fact that he can't make any lies about me anymore. And when he found out that I knew about how many lies he made about me, due to which he was hoping on me not knowing about it, due to which he was sending me these price tag blackmails for millions of euros, to try to get money out of me, illegal assurances, before my brain savant would get freed anyways, he tried incest. He tried to sell his own sisters for illegal assurances of money on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. when he was told that this is an open advertisement for incest in exchange for illegal assurances of money. And when he was told this, he didn't care, because on March 7th, 2026, he sent it to me 3 times to try to get illegal assurances of money before my brain savant would get freed anyways. This is a disgusting individual who clearly believes that there's monetary potential for my brain savant. He does not want my mother to have any of it, which is why he's trying to enviously lock up my brain savant, while at the same time claiming that he doesn't think that it even exists or has monetary potential, or that I'm capable of the things that artificial intelligence has said that I'm capable of, while at the same time he's sending me blackmail price tags right now as we speak, with the last one being for 9.5 million euros only about an hour ago. And he's already tried, knowingly that it's been labeled open advertisement for incest, with his sister, Fire the Greedy Framer, and the other ones as well, in exchange for illegal assurances of money, clearly showing he clearly knows that there's monetary potential. Artificial intelligence is not lying. I'm not psychic enough to know what the report says without me telling the truth, and that he wants that money in any way, shape, or form possible. But just to try to degrade me and try to make me look bad, he's going to try to argue that it doesn't even exist, when the facts and evidences clearly show that a man who's disgusting enough to try to sell his own sister, Fire the Greedy Framer, not just on February 11th at 3:17 a.m., and then having that labeled as open advertisement for incest in exchange for illegal assurances of money, tries it again on March 7, 2026, 3 times, only to try to get illegal assurances of the millions of euros that he's sending me right now as price tag blackmails in exchange for incest. Incredibly disgusting individual. Go by people's actions. Don't go by with their words, because this man is a pathological liar, and his actions from just an hour ago clearly shows that he wants millions of euros illegal assured to him in any way, shape, or form possible, just from an hour ago. And it started from July 9th, 2026, only 4 days ago, after claiming that he didn't even think that it existed, it had the potential, or that I was capable of doing the things that I said I was, and artificial intelligence said I was, despite me and him never, ever living in even in the same country, ever in my entire life, even when I was living overseas, never even talking on the phone. Only due to extreme envy of my mother getting this brain savant money and him not. But his actions from only an hour ago show otherwise, that he really does think that there's millions of euros, that more than millions of euros, that this brain savant has the potential for, and he's illegally sending me these price tag blackmails. Last one from just an hour ago. Okay.